Want to take you live to Capitol Hill and Senator Jeff Sessions, Republican Alabama, who just met with Sotomayor.
Experiences in both as a district judge, a trial judge, a lawyer in private practice, and as an appellate judge. I think that is a good background for any judge, particularly a Supreme Court judge. And we talked about her views on the law and other matters that I think relate to how a judge conducts himself on the bench. I committed to her, and as I've said to her when we talked the day she was nominated, that she will get a fair hearing in the Judiciary Committee. She'll be treated respectfully, and she will be given an opportunity to answer any allegations that are out there, and that I think it's going to be a good process. I'd like to see people say, this is the best hearing we've ever had. And there are issues and questions. You've seen some of the complaints in the papers, and those things will be raised, and she'll be given a chance to talk about that. So I'm kind of...
Senator Sessions, did you directly ask her about the comments that she made in 2001 suggesting that the experience of a Latina woman makes somebody like that better equipped than a white male?
No, not directly. We talked about the idea and the concept of personal feelings and to some degree, how that influences a decision, how it should not. And I won't go into I think our conversation was one that was in, a confidential conversation.
Can you just tell us whether or not her answer to that question reassured you about her approach?
Well, we talked about it briefly, and did not go into that in a lot of detail. I did tell her that I do think that we may well talk again, and so we might get into more specific details, but I frankly haven't had the opportunity to study her record enough to fairly ask a lot of specific questions.
Chairman Leahy suggested today that it would be irresponsible to wait until September to hold a hearing. Says it should be earlier than September to give her a chance to respond to these allegations. But what are your feelings about a hearing before the August recess?
I don't think it would be irresponsible, and I would urge the chairman to keep an open mind on that. We'll talk, I think, tomorrow. He called just as she came in to visit me, and I think we're getting together tomorrow to try to talk about that. Also, Senator Reid, the majority leader, and Senator McConnell, our Republican leader, will ultimately be involved in some of those discussions. Then there's over 3,000 or 4,000 cases now that we think are a part of her 17-year record. They do need to be examined, and they will be examined. And I don't think that it's good to rush this nomination. So I look forward to talking with Senator Leahy tomorrow.
Would you favor a hearing in September after the recess?
Yes, I think that would be a good time myself.
September hearings.
Yeah.
Senator, do you think it's harmful?
We've got until October 7th, I believe, or 5th for the nominee to take office. That's the date that Justice Souter will be departing.
Senator, do you think that conversation satisfy your concern she might be an activist?
Well, I don't know that we got into that sufficiently to discuss that. We really sort of talked about her experience over the different life adventures that she's had, both as a lawyer, a prosecutor, a judge, and a appellate judge.
Senator Sessions, you've talked about you're promising her, committed to her, a respectful hearing in Judiciary, but Senator Leahy talked about some of the language that we've seen already directed at her from obviously outside the Senate. What's your take on some of the language and criticism that we've heard of her, including complaints that she may be a racist?
Well, I don't think that that's the language. I will not use that kind of language. I think there's on some of the questions that come up, like affirmative action or those sort of questions, people who feel strongly about it use strong language. I think the right thing to do is ask what the law is and how she decided those cases, and not use pejorative terms.
But does that give you concern for the party when you see some of that kind of language out there? Is that damaging to the Republican Party?
Well, the people out there are not party officials. they're not Republican officials. I mean, the Senate's the one that owes the responsibility to give her a good and fair hearing, and that's what I'm committed to doing. And I think.
How did you get at one of your biggest concerns you voiced is that she might be an activist judge? Do you come away with from this experience with her any less concerned than you were before? And how did you get at determining if she is?
I don't think I exhausted that question at all today, but we did generally talk about it. We talked about the fact that within the law schools there are doctrines I consider to be unhealthy that suggest that words don't have real meaning, that they can be made to say whatever you want them to say, a sort of a cynical view of law. And I expressed my view that a judge a judge who took that view could erode respect for law in the public's mind, and so we discussed the moral authority of law and judges and the need for the American people to feel that those judgments are based on the law and the facts, and she discussed that forthrightly, I thought, in an effective way, but it was really not a detailed discussion of any of her comments or speeches or things of that nature.
Did she say to you that ultimately and completely a judge has to follow the law? She used those words with Senator Leahy that ultimately...
Yes, she used those words. And of course the question is, what is the law? How does a judge find the law, and what approach to statutory construction do they utilize?
So did you ask her?
So thank you. I'm very impressed with her knowledge, her experience, her energy level. It was a delight to talk with her. I enjoyed the conversation. I think she did. She said she did. She thought it was good. It went a little longer than we planned to go. Thank you so much. Good to see you.